Hey, welcome back to Scrap Fab. Today we are back on the M. We're gonna try to get this wired up to the point that it will sit here and just idle while spinning the M transmission, and I want to make sure that it's all pretty balanced and we don't have any excessive shaking before we move forward. After that, it'll be clutch linkage, maybe some sort of shift linkage, things like that. But I just want to make sure that it's pretty balanced and I don't have an issue there. So that's today, and let's get after it. So if you remember, last video, we got the engine installed in there, solid mounted. I've already went ahead and got the top cover installed. I've got the shifter shortened, and I made a top linkage there to connect to. So that'll be a future video probably, but just noted that it's all sealed up and should be good there. So first thing is going to be battery mounting. I'll probably just set a battery in there for now. We'll find some cables and get an ignition switch, see what we got. So we've got power. I just mounted the same switch from the stand. So obviously positive ground. So we have positive side here. And then I've made a makeshift extension using the chassis here. So, our ground cable to our next ground cable up to the block. Obviously it all grounds through the chassis anyway. I think that's not a problem. So I'm gonna go ahead and verify that I have power everywhere. And once I have power, then yeah, I'll see if I can get it to run. Okay, so we've got everything electrical checked. We've got fuel routed down from the tank. I'm going to go ahead and prime the pump a few times. You can see the gurgle, so that's working. Yeah. So now I'll leave the ignition off, and we'll come over here and we'll see if we can get any movement. Okay, we had a slight connection issue. Change the connector. Should be good. Cool. So now, let's turn the ignition on. See if we can get her to start. Now I want to see if I can get this to spin in gear. So we're going to put the tractor in neutral. Basically, I want to be able to heat up the fluid, so brake on, tractor in neutral, and then we'll pull this. We'll just go, I think, trying to think what this trans would be. It's going to go down and to the left. Should be, it's either going to be first or second, so we will crank it and see if it'll fire back up. Keys on. Pretty sweet. All right, she's running. As far as I'm concerned, I think we can move forward. I don't see anything that tells me not to, so we'll go ahead and start working on a clutch linkage, because that's really the next thing. In terms of drivability, we have a clutch linkage and then a throttle. Still got to think on the shifting from the seat, like from the, I want to shift from the seat to the first transmission, so I'll think on that. But for now, let's keep chugging along and we'll get the clutch set up and a throttle, and then we'll be able to drive it. Well, actually, we've got to do radiator stuff, so still some stuff on the list. We'll get it. I'll keep after. All right, we are moving on to clutch. With clutch, basically we just got to adapt levers. I can't use the factory clutch rod. Basically the factory clutch rod, hopefully this will focus. So the factory clutch rod, well, you get the idea, runs right into that transmission piece there. So that's out of option. So I'm basically gonna make a, oh my, focus. I'm gonna make a short shaft that comes in from the inside, and then it'll have a lever on the inside, and then we'll just make some sort of cinch bolt for the outside to keep it from sliding, and then also for a new lever out here to pivot on. So, I've got some spindles off an old mower deck, I think are about the perfect size. So I'm gonna run over here and look at them, see what we got. So these are the same 1-inch shaft size. So I'll be able to just cut this off, and then I can use that shaft, and this will be the same way that this holds in here is how we'll retain it on the tractor, and then the inside will have the lever. So should work good. I will get that removed. We'll get it all cut up and start mocking something up. Okay, so we've got our roughed in clutch lever here. There's our wheel spindle shaft, and then the whatever you call it thing, lockdown. So that'll position it wherever we want when we are, positioning it this way. So now we have to figure out exactly where exactly where we want our other lever. I think it'll end up being, somewhere right here along that edge, and we'll actually just, we'll secure that to the other lockdown piece and see if that will be sufficient. And that way we have some adjustability. So I'll go ahead and cut out another lever, and we'll try to get it attached down to, well, you can kind of see. This is the actual clutch lever for the transmission there. So we'll see if we can get those attached. Yeah, we're making progress. This thing will be driving before we know it. Okay, here is our other clutch lever. So we'll let it cool off, and then we'll get everything fitted together and see how it's working. Okay, let's see if I can record all this at once. So you can see the internal lever in there that will, will make a linkage down to this one. And then here's the external to the clutch. So you can see, so this is obviously clutch returned, and then, depressing the clutch. Freewheeling, return. So that should work. So now I gotta make sure that I can lock all this stuff down. I may slide this all the way in, keep it from walking, and then we'll make the linkage to go from this lever to that lever. And yeah, that should be all the clutch action we need. So let's get it buttoned up. Okay, so we've got our clutch lever system. I've got a turnbuckle on there for adjustment. The 1/4 inch kind of worries me a little bit, but we'll see what happens with that. Then we've also just got it tied down there to another bolt to the other lever, so that should work fine. I'm gonna go ahead and snug everything up, make sure my adjustment's correct, and then we'll see what kind of action we got. Okay, snugged up. You can kind of see the, sorry about the light. You can kind of see the movement there, what it'll be like. Not sure I can compress it with my arm, but definitely have to use my foot. It's pretty stiff, but that's what we got. Should work just fine there. Man, that light is in a terrible place. But yeah, you can basically see what's going on. So, where we're at now is basically to see if the clutch is functioning. So I'm gonna get the engine warmed up, and yeah, maybe it'll move. So I'll get everything cleaned up, we'll let the engine warm, and we'll try putting it in gear and see what happens. Turnbuckle wasn't strong enough, kinda had a feeling, but looks like it just unbent it, so might be able to bend it back and weld it and then see how it is. Maybe I'll try that. But also, I'm thinking before I take it out, I'd better, let's get the radiator set up. I don't want to get it too hot or anything since we'll be putting load on it by driving, so I got some hoses. We'll see if we can figure something out and pull it out and flush the radiator. We're pretty close. But I think having water in there would make me feel better about it. So that's what we'll do. So what we have is 2 separate hose sizes is issue 1. Issue 2 is length, distance. So I've got 2 universal style coolant hoses here. Basically, I'm just going to go through and make do with what we have. And yeah, I ought to be able to get some sort of system figured out. No problem. Okay, so after much debate, this is what I ended up with. Basically, this is the mock-up. So I'm extending this factory tube. I'm gonna go ahead and weld this. I'm gonna press fit it and then weld it. So, you know, this should seal fairly good. And then we still will have a rubber flex joint here, and then we'll install a rubber coupler here too. So that should work for that. And then this is snug on the block, and then this is snug in this hose, butted up to the radiator fitting. And then, you know, this is like a coupler, so we'll have a clamp here and a clamp here. Hopefully that keeps it from leaking. And eventually I'm gonna try to find some perfectly close hoses for that. But I think for what I'm doing now, these will function just fine. So I'm gonna go ahead and get them buttoned up. We'll get clamps on, weld that upper pipe, and yeah, then we'll put some water in it and keep on moving. And if you are not a hose clamp hoarder yet, you need to start, because me hanging on to these has saved a lot of time and money. So hoard your hose clamps. Okay, so we've got our upper water hose and lower, just adapted with our couplers here at the bottom and top. So now I'm going to go ahead and push it out of the shop, and Liam and I are going to see if it has, if it's capable of holding water in the radiator. So I have a little faith in the radiator, but it might hold, and we'll see. Regardless, we're gonna fill it up and see if it'll drive around. So that's what we're doing now. First time out in the light of day with the Flathead. It's pretty good with no sheet metal on there. Yeah, we'll get some water poured in, find all our leaks, not worry about them, and get it started up. Well, there's no visible leaks, so we'll get it fired up and let it warm up and take it for a spin. All right, guys, couldn't be happier. It actually functioned amazing. No real issues. I still have to do several little things here. That being, we've got to hook up a throttle, and then we got to do a complete oil change now that we've had heat cycling through it. And overall I ran it for, I must say half an hour, over half an hour, but solid half an hour at, you know, 1500 RPM or whatever it's supposed to be. I don't have a tack, which that might be a good addition, but ran really good for all the time I had it going. We tried out all the gears, did road gear fine. So, like I said, we need throttle, and oh, the other thing is we don't have any real water leaks. Nothing from my weld area, nothing out of the seals. Even the bottom there, nothing. I haven't saw anything big out of the radiator, so that's just awesome. The only leak is my fittings here for the oil, which is pressurized, so I'm not really surprised by that. And also exhaust. So yeah, I am really excited with how this turned out. It's fun to drive, has a cool sound, and that's even with just the header. So I definitely think that what we have is a better version than the Honda. The Honda was functional, but this is just overall a cooler setup. But yeah, we have quite a bit to do still, but it does drive. So with that being said, that'll be the end of this video. Remember to hit the like button and leave me a comment, and even subscribe if you're feeling like it. So I appreciate everybody tuning into this video. I'll keep after this, and we'll see you on the next one.